All right, welcome to our broadcast. Good to have all of you in the ring with us tonight. Share the live, smash that emoji button, folks. Off we go. It's the evening after the day before. March 2024 is now officially behind us. And we trust that you folks, you all have had a good day. You all had a good day yesterday. You had a good day today. And we pray that the new month we're heading into, it only gets better. The remainder of this month into that new month, that it only gets better. Do let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. That is how we want to be heard. How are you folks doing? You're good. You're nice. You're all sweet. Do let us know. Do let us know. Welcome. As I said, it's the evening after the day before. And what a day yesterday was. Mashimani 2024. Yep. Yep. I was so privileged to be with the APNU team on the ground. Who vex? I was so very privileged. This is about an ensemble of that APNU team. Y'all know I got to take over half the photograph. I get a little big, I got to take myself in hand. I get a little big. How y'all doing? Joy, Mandy, Avril, Mike, good to see you there. Brenda, Will Morgan, good to have all of you. Wilma, good to see you too. Angela Irwin, good to see Mandy. I see Claudette Boville Lewis is with us. I ring the bell one time for my favorite folks, which is all of you, just in case you know. But good to have all of you. That's yesterday, folks, an ensemble of the team. I took my whole family. Well, let me say an ensemble of the family that's here. Took them out yesterday, and we trust you guys have had a good day, a good mashramani, and we're coming down now off of that. Back to work. Please and thank you. Back to work. So there the team was yesterday, as I said, doing our own thing, meeting the people, meeting some of you on the ground there, doing our own thing. And then March seemed to take a turn, seemed to take a turn. It seems the police force wants to be fair. But like, they want to be fair in the wrong way. Sometimes it happens like that, That's why you got to ask you, define fair. You got to ask people, define fair for me. Things seem to take a turn with the Ghana police force float, parade. They want to be fair. This new year, they want to be fair. And then I saw, it even took a deeper turn. Deeper turn. I saw this today on Facebook. I want to know what's going on with this country. What's going on in this country? Is this a police commissioner? Is this a commissioner of police, the top cop, the COP? Is this the learned gentleman, the professional policeman? Respect them. They want to be fair in the Ghana police force. And there's so many imports there. There's so many imports. But it's back to work. It's back to work. Recently had the privilege of being on the ground in Good Hope with MP Ganesh Mai Paul. Coming, Ganesh, coming. I had the privilege of being on the ground. This is what we love doing. Being on the ground with our people, listening to their concerns. You see? Listening to their concerns, amplifying it, bring it to the attention of the authorities so that they could make a difference. And that is where we begin our broadcast tonight. We begin our broadcast in Good Hope, New Scheme, Phase 4. Whatever it is, our people have some needs there. Caught up with them recently, caught up with MP Ganesh Mai Paul. Let's take it from there. Take a look. Take a look, good folks. Here in Good Hope, this is Phase 4. Tell us a little bit about what we were expecting to talk with residents here about today.
Well, let me start off by saying several months ago, residents made contact with us pertaining to issues affecting them in the Phase 4 of Good Hope East Coast Demerara. And as responsible opposition representatives, what I know we did was to transmit those information to the relevant authorities, that being Central Housing and Planning Authority and the Minister of Public Utilities and Aviation, concerning primarily water supply for the area. People have been living here for close to 3 years, and they have expressed their dissatisfaction with the fact that they are not getting potable water, which I think is a necessity for life and priority should be given.
So we took the liberty of reaching out to the administration to solve the problem.
Yes, responsible opposition ought to do that. Several exchanges happened with the APNU representatives and Central Housing and Planning Authority and the Ministry of Public Utilities and Aviation. As recent as yesterday, water was coming through the main pipe, the 4-inch PVC pipe that would supply and distribute to respective homes. And a visit was made by GWI, as related to me by residents, and they locked the water off and said that they are not entitled to the water as yet, that this water has to go to Annandale. And I found that very strange.
Yeah.
So I told the residents, okay, I think we have exhausted the option of bringing it to the attention of the relevant authorities, and it is now time for us to make a physical visit to the area. And that is what brought us here, and we're here about to engage with residents so that they can tell us some more. But I can tell you from my interaction that I was a bit uneasy to learn that the Guyana Fire Service is actually charging residents in here as much as $10,000 for a barrel of potable water. That is the 450-gallon water tank.
This is the state selling water.
Yes, and I found that very strange. And a 450-gallon water tank would last myself, my family, which is 3 of us, at least 2 to 3 days, because we wash, we cook, we do all kind of domestic related matters with the water. And to hear that you have to pay $10,000 for 1 barrel, I think it's an additional cost. It's a burden on the ordinary Guyanese, and these are matters that are not affecting the rich, they're affecting the poor. And when we speak in Budget 2026 about this being an imbalanced budget, when we speak about it not being a case of putting people first, it is matters like this that burns us to the core. And that is why we're here on the ground, to hear directly from the residents, and for people to see and know that we're not making up these stories. There are people in this country that are punishing, there are people that are punishing for basic amenities, and there are people who are punishing for the necessities. And it's quite unfair and unfortunate. I don't think Indar pays for water. I don't think he pays for electricity. I don't think Colin Crowell pays for water and electricity. Why must the ordinary, hardworking Guyanese who are making way less than what they are making from the state pay such exorbitant prices for these basic commodities?
And Ganesh, this is the disconnect we continue to see. And this, in a sense, a continuation of the street parliament, coming and talking to the people who are affected directly by these policies. Now, I think we know the numbers in terms of budgets we've spent so far, and I think with the exception of this, outside of this budget here, we've already spent about $5 trillion. And people just on the outskirts of the national capital city, this is still Region 4, we ain't gone 6, we ain't gone 9 and 10 and so on as yet. We're still relatively Region 4, this is the center of governance, and people can't get water. And what is striking,
we're 10 minutes away from Georgetown.
10 minutes away, we've already spent billions of dollars since this government came to power on water. And we are about to spend billions more, because in the 2026 budget, there's at least $22 billion set aside for water. And yet, just on the outskirts of Georgetown, people cannot receive water. And we see this too often. People get a struggle to get land. And when they get the land, you have no water, as basic as it is, and you have no power. And then security is a general concern as well. Now you're talking about people having to buy water. So you have to scrape together to afford land. We were giving free house lots, by the way, for people earning under $400,000. That's nearly everybody in this country. On this government, you got to scrape together money to buy land. And now when you get the land, you manage to put a house in it, you got to be buying water. That's an extra expense. And then the exorbitant costs.
And several of these people said that they can't afford to buy the water, and that means that they have to travel long distances to fetch it in buckets on their electric bikes and on other mode of transportation. All of that comes at an additional cost. We can't speak to, and this affects not just people and their livelihood, it also affects the education system, because you have several children in here who apparently cannot get to attend school because they lack the basic amenities to prepare them for the school. So I know from interaction with residents on the via phone call that their children had to stay home from school because they don't have water to shower. They don't have water to wash the clothes. This is the 21st century. We're in a $1 trillion economy. We're supposed to be the fastest growing economy. On paper, we look so good.
Yes.
But the reality
Yes.
on the ground is
Yes.
something totally different. And you know, it comes back to what we have exposed in Budget 2026. You are seeing the numbers reflecting in the book as though it is utilized for its intended purpose. And here on the ground, you're not seeing the tangible outcome from the money that was already spent.
Yes.
And that is a glaring issue that
Yes.
is clear as day.
Yes.
The money clearly is going into somebody's pocket, and we're seeing mansions being constructed by the rich and wealthy, and we're seeing the poor suffering to even construct a flat house. Guyana is not really a balanced society right now. We are really two Guyanas where the rich is prospering and the poor they're continuing to punish.
Yeah, you know, I based on what we already know, people are saying that this area doesn't have a right to water as yet. I find that I don't even know how to
strange.
process that.
It is strange and
People are living
it's
here.
hurting.
Guyanese are living
Yeah,
here.
it's hard, and water is an essential commodity. Water is a necessity. Water is more important than any other commodity for one's survival. And here we have, just 10 minutes away from Georgetown, people struggling to make ends meet by way of getting a simple commodity as water. And it is like if we're 50 years back. I remember when my grandmother used to tell me that they had to fetch water. Why is it in 2026 with a $1 trillion economy, 1.558 trillion budget, we have to have people still fetching water?
And Ganesh, they will come in the National Assembly and throw it in our face, have to fetch water under Burnham and under Burnham 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still happening now under their tenure. Now, I want to raise another important thing. While we were coming in here, a number of things stood out to us. They don't have adequate roads. Lighting is an issue. The drainage is an issue. Garbage collection is an issue. And what is fascinating to me, they're going to be opening more housing schemes. They said they want to do 8,000 homes. That could be 8,000 homes that don't got water, they don't have lights. They want to do 40,000 homes in the next 5 years. But what you have existing currently
has never, Sherrod, the PPP has never completed in full any scheme.
That is the point I was going to make. What we have currently has not been completed. But of course, you're playing the politics.
Yeah.
You're doing so many allocations and you're building so many homes. But people are suffering in the ones that exist.
You know, I remember the Tushin New Housing Scheme in Region 3. When we came into power in 2015, we had to pave the roads. We had to expand the phase 3 area. We had to pave the roads for phase 2 and provide them with light and water. The PPP left it incomplete. Farm housing scheme, the same thing. The sugar welfare scheme in Zealand, same thing. Perseverance, same thing. And it brings me to the point that Priya Manikchan would always harp at, that we have never begun and completed any secondary school during our 5-year tenure. And she's correct, but what she's failing to tell the nation is that the schools that she left in 2014 were in such a deplorable state that we had to spend money between 2015 and 2020 to put those schools in the right situation, to make it more conducive for learning. Wales Primary School, Zealot Primary School, Parika Salem Secondary School, Iflot Secondary School,
I remember
Lenora Secondary School.
They had a Godi, them K2 Secondary
Secondary
Yes.
School. all of those schools that Priya left, we had to spend money to put it right.
And spend time as well.
Exactly.
Money
So
and time to fix
the
them.
PPP has never begun something and concluded on it to make it more comfortable for the people to live in.
Yeah.
And that is the situation we find ourselves in. They have now the $1 trillion budget, and it's not trickling down to the ordinary Guyanese. And here is a situation where you have a community that is not getting the basic commodities such as water. Light is also an issue. The holes in the road is another issue. It's like they're not doing anything proper to serve the ordinary people, and they just keep giving their friends huge contracts, making their friends, their family, and their favorites richer and richest, and the poor people are remaining stagnant and not getting to
Ganesh, you
earn.
raised such an important point. When we talk about the authorities telling people here, it's not y'all turn for water yet, we got to send the water some other place. This is not putting people first.
No, it's definitely
They're not putting the
people
people
first.
of Good Hope Phase 4 first.
No,
At all.
At all.
In
They're
any
not
way.
putting the people first. And it is very heart-wrenching, Sherrod, to learn that people in here have to pay for water from the Guyana Fire Service as much as $10,000 for a 450-gallon water tank.
You know what is
Where is
happening
that
too?
money going? Who's
Yep,
collecting
yep,
the money?
yep,
Is
yep.
it Onage Waldron that is
Yep.
getting the money? Is it the fire chief that is getting the money? Who's getting the money?
Yep.
Because the budget book is not reflecting revenue coming into the consolidated fund as the Guyana Fire Service
Correct.
selling water to
Correct.
residents of this country. It is
Correct.
public thievery, and the PPP is guilty of thieving from the ordinary people. Imagine you got to buy water from the Guyana Fire
Yeah.
Service. What nonsense is that?
Yeah. And they're turning up to some fires without water. But let us talk to some of those residents in the neighborhood here.
Yes, this is Good Hope Plantation, the new scheme, and we are out of water. We don't have any water in here, and it's very difficult because we have kids going to school. We need water to do work, to cook, to do everything. We need water, and we don't have water in here. It's very difficult to come out from here to go into the Good Hope, actually, into the old scheme to get water. Not all times we do get water. We try to get water from Lisknan. We get water a couple of times, but they closed the pipe off that which we used to get water from there. So it's very difficult to get water in here, and we would really like to have water in here.
How long have you been living in Good Hope New Scheme here?
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a
And
half.
I rather suspect that some folks have been living in here longer than
Yeah, some folks have been living like 2 years now in here.
and you don't have water at the back here.
No, we don't have any water at the back here.
How much of an inconvenience is that to you? I know you're a mother.
Yeah, it's really hard on me because having so many kids going to school, and kids are always messy. You gotta get water to wipe, to wash, to cook, to bathe. You know, it's very hard.
And what has the authorities been telling you all is responsible for not having water here as yet in Good Hope?
Well, when we call in, they're saying that they're not ready yet to open in here. Very soon we're going to get water. When I ask like how soon, they're just saying it's very soon. They're not telling us when. But water was open in this line last Friday up to yesterday morning. We had water in the line. And for somehow they disconnect the water. We don't have any water in the line anymore. Because some people were getting water.
So, what do you mean when you say they open the line, and why isn't that line still open?
Well, there's a problem that gets everybody here to know what's really the problem is about, because the line opened, that which we had water in here. I got a picture that I could show you, the water overflowing from the pipe. And up to yesterday morning, there were water in the line. And all of a sudden, there is no water. When going to Guywa, they are saying that they didn't give permission for the line to open. We have to wait. So
But you own a house here, you got a land here, but you have to wait on water. Now, what is the alternative? So the government isn't supplying water. What is the alternative for you all getting water? How do you survive here?
we depend on the rainwater, and we gotta fetch water.
Fetch water from where?
We gotta go over into the scheme to get water.
And
so that's
I know
all the way with
that's
a
a good
jogger.
distance
That's
from
a good,
here.
and we use it with bike and the e-bike.
Wow. Which means there's an additional cost to you because you gotta power up your bike.
Yes.
Now, I heard some people even using the trench water here, the drain water.
Yeah, we're using it to flush it out. We're using it to flush the toilet. You understand? It's something that we didn't ask for this. We never expect for this. You know, it's very hard because coming from a comfortable place where you got water, you had light, you had everything, and now we gotta somehow to make ends meet. It's very hard.
So the expectation was that you would get water. I know you have electricity here too. I was made to understand that some folks would buy water here too.
Yes.
What is the cost of that if you want to
For
buy
the fire
water?
service to bring water in here, I think it's 18 or 20,000.
Hold on. The Guyana Fire Service sells you water in here?
Yes, I think it's 3 tank for 18,000.
3 tanks of what? This is black.
The black tanks.
So the Guyana Fire Service, that is not affiliated to the Guyana Water Incorporated, they're selling water, 3 black tanks for $18,000.
Yes, because when we find out what's the price, that is what they told us. So we don't know if they're lying. I don't know. That's what they're saying.
Do you get a receipt for that water?
No, because I can't afford that.
Okay, so you don't buy it from.
No,
from them.
I don't
You
buy.
can afford it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's only my husband working, so I cannot afford that to buy water. I could only buy water to drink.
Do you think that's fair?
That's not fair. You know, that's not fair.
All right. Thank you very much.
Do you know what's the total budget sum that was passed this year?
I can't. I didn't get so far, so I didn't follow it up. Like, you know.
Some of the residents of Good Hope there talking. Good Hope is right from the corner. Good Hope is Region 4 is of the East Coast. It's not that far. It's not 20 miles outside the city. It's right down there. And those people living on the land, flushing the toilet with water. Trench water, gutter water. We hear people cooking with gutter water. $1 trillion economy, fastest growing economy, high income country, biggest per capita GDP. And this is not deep south. This is not in North Pacaramas. This is right up the east, right up the East Coast. And this year's budget is $1.558 trillion. You know who knows it? Judy Finance. Judy told us, you know, we go to the maths, that in the last 5 years, we have spent over $6 trillion as an economy. $6 trillion as an economy. Right up the road, right around the corner. People got to walk for miles for water. People cooking, flushing the toilet, washing with gutter water. You see the struggle? So when we say there's a disconnect in the fancy foot move in the budget and the reality on the ground, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. Just today, we're gonna come back to some more of the residents and their concerns. Just today, I caught up with MP Trudy Finance. You know, in the 12th Parliament, she shadowed finance. In the 13th Parliament, she got double duty. Double duty. Marine affairs, tourism and industry and commerce. She understands the numbers. And I was asking MP Finance, I said, MP Finance, if there's one thing in this budget, in your humble estimation, people should remember, they shouldn't forget, you know, about this budget that clearly is meeting the people. Them people are squatting, you know. They get title for those houses, but they ain't get water. They just get light. Just get power. So I put it to MP Finance. It's MP Racker come in. If there is one thing people shouldn't forget, people should remember about this budget. Hear what she said. And on the other side of that, we're going to come back to Good Hope. Take a look.
That we don't want to forget about budget 2026, but in particular, I want persons to remember the actual number. That's the first thing. How much is budget 2026, because the PP would have been out there speaking very boldly about it being the largest budget ever. And when you look at that number, it's $1.558 trillion. And so everyone expected that when you have a budget of that magnitude, you should be receiving more benefits, not directly but indirectly. More opportunities should be opening up for Guyanese in particular. What you want to remember about budget 2026 is that when you open that budget book and when you look at the presentation by Ashley Singh in National Assembly, with the largest budget ever presented to this country, $1.558 trillion. They could not care less when it comes to adding any decent sum to old age pension. They did not care when it comes to adding monies to any social services that would actually benefit persons in any real way. I want to say budget 2026, there's a whole lot of fluff in it when it comes to the PPP's agenda. They want to go out there, they want to talk about great things, and I want persons to underscore some things you may have missed out there. When it comes to the roadways, you talk about all the new roads being built and so forth. When we went into those budget books, you could have seen that those projects, the timeline, it actually had to record it as being started under the APNU coalition. When it comes to major projects, transformation projects, it all started under the APNU coalition. Do not forget, even when it comes to Linden, the track and field there started under the APNU coalition. The bridge started under the APNU coalition. The maternity hospital started under the APNU coalition. So that the budget is actually, the details in the budget gives a reminder that the PPP lacks vision when it comes to things that would actually benefit Guyanese.
And before Lance, let me add quickly, the Mabura Road was conceptualized and started under the coalition. The Linden Highway too, that was the rehabilitation of the Linden Sussex Highway of
That
itself.
is correct. And I believe at some point, Mr. Duncan, maybe we have to go and extract those pages from the budget and just post it for persons to see that it is right there. Those things are stated clearly in black and white. So the people love to come and love to play in this pitch as though they're doing great things. And I want to remind persons that when it comes to giving real benefit to Guyanese, it happened under the APNU coalition and government, with a very small budget. And I told persons, even in my budget presentation for 2026, when you look at the deficit for budget 2026, the deficit that we have there, and persons, you have your revenues and your expenditure. So you have certain revenues coming into the country, and then there's a certain amount of expenditure. The expenditure that is being listed there for 2026 outweigh the revenues coming into the country by over $400 billion. And when you look at that deficit alone, it is about over $100 billion more than the largest budget the APNU coalition ever had. But yet, with a small budget, no oil revenue, we were able to deliver to the Guyanese people. With a small budget, less than the deficit of 2026 budget, we were able to conceptualize and put in the works for all of those projects that I just mentioned. And the PPP now wants to come to parade themselves as being this forward-thinking government. They're not, and we have to call them out for it every step of the way. There's something I believe that we missed completely, and we didn't have an opportunity because persons that were viewing the actual interrogation of the estimates, I say interrogation, but correctly it's supposed to be the consideration of the estimates. And what persons would have realized is that we had a limited time, and a lot of the time the ministers would just talk and talk a whole lot of nonsense instead of answering a direct question. And that they do that because they don't want us to ask the pertinent question. And one of the things persons need to remember about Budget 2026 is the amount of monies that were allocated in Budget 2025 that was not spent on what they allocated the money for. I think that's super important for persons to remember. So what the PPP does, they come to the National Assembly, they go out there and all the headlines, they're allocating X amount of money to this big project. And at the end of it, they leave the National Assembly and they go back and they do what they call a change of program, and they write to the finance secretary and he gives the approval, and they take the money from what they told you, the people, publicly in the National Assembly that they were going to spend the money on. They take the money from that and they go and spend it on something else. And there's very little scrutiny on many of those things that they spend the money on. You would have heard so many things highlighted as the market money, the monies were allocated, it was spent out. I asked specifically when it comes to the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, how is it that only half of the amount of villages you're saying implemented these programs, but all the monies were spent, all the monies were expended? I got no response in that regard. But I want to remind persons that I believe it was a 2022 Auditor General's report that flagged that very same issue when it comes to the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, in which they took money that was there for the Amerindian Development Fund and they moved it over to an account that they could not have accountability for, and the Auditor General, after asking repeatedly for accountability for the account, he had to flag it and put it in the Auditor General's report. So we go into the National Assembly and we scrutinize these budgets and sites. I want persons to understand, and I don't want you to miss it this time around, it is always about how the money is spent after. That is why our work after budget in the National Assembly, our work is most important in making sure that the monies are spent where they're supposed to be spent and how they are supposed to be spent. And as you would know, the PPP does not go down that line. There's so much, many persons right about now coming out into the public and speaking about the corruption in the PPP administration when it comes to the expenditure of these monies that they're allocating towards various projects. So when you're in your communities and you see a project being stalled, chances are 90% of the time it is because it is a highly corrupt process that is stalling that project. So if you're to remember one thing about budget 2026, it is going to be that it is the largest budget ever that give the least amount proportionately when it comes to our pensioners, persons depending on social services and so forth. However, one of the other most important thing, if I could add another one, share, there's so many, I can't just add one, is for you to remember that everything that is registered in budget 2026 may not be for budget 2026, because the PPP may have very well, like they've done so many times in the past, come tell you they're going to be doing these projects, and the end of it they're probably already writing up some little change of programs to send in for approval so that they can move the money to something else, because that's what they do. They believe that once they have the headlines that they capture your attention. But I challenge you Guyanese to make sure that in 2026 we collectively hold them accountable. We make sure that we call them out for the corruption, and we make sure that these monies are spent. The monies that we approve, we sit in the National Assembly and approve these monies, and those monies are spent where they should be spent.
Yep. We're putting it into context for us, you see? You could approve monies for Good Hope, never got there. That's why the people without water. That's why the people without roads, you know? Years later, and lights just gone in. You know, we asking our folks to bathe with trench water or buy water from the fire service. 8,000 a black tank. Where's that money going? You heard Ganesh on that. Where's the money going? Where is it going? Huh? You know where the money might be going? You know where some of that money might be going? Sadly, huh? All right. To make the Guyana police force a fairer place, that's where some of it might be going. But let's head back into Good Hope. Continue that discussion with residents and MP Ganesh Mahi Paul on the concerns of the residents there in Good Hope. Take a look.
If the rain fall, we depend on the rain. If no rain, we don't get no water. If the truck don't come for say water drink, we don't get no water for the children for drink. The husband has got to take a bicycle, he don't get a scooter. His scooter not really work properly. He's got to ride it with 2 jars. Something 10, 12 trip, forget little barrel water for we use. A barrel water not last we do kind of day with them children this. They got wash, they got cook, they got bathe. Me and mine and me buy miss little stacks. Me live in a little drain of water when the rain fall to look after them.
What was your expectation coming in here?
Well, me live with my father them and I used to get problem with them. And me just come off my own because me and my children them, you know, children and children has be problem, so me just come off my own because me two neighbor them and then he say my gang company we come to.
And you thought when you're coming here, you're getting water?
Water and like, yeah, but
light
when
and so on.
going for register for the water and say, we got to wait with 2 little body down here. That we can't get the water yet.
That sounds very strange. Not enough residents in here
Yeah.
for them to bring water
Yeah.
in here. I mean, we just came in here randomly. I think we got about 20 families represented here alone, and not enough people living here. You
Yeah.
got kids and so on.
Yeah, we get kids and so on.
And we've noted, in addition to the water problem that the deficiency of water you all have here, roads are terrible coming in here.
Terrible. Forgot school last week, whole week, my children I go school and rain fall because me can't have Fred to the bicycle. Me just can't carry them with the bicycle bike. He reach out for heist the bicycle and heist over them, the whole skin full of mud. And the shortcut for go over. Last week, whole week, he didn't go to school. Just because the road.
Don't forget some street lights. The place is too dark in the night.
So, inadequate lighting, terrible roads, absolutely no water.
No
When
water.
you applied for your, give her the paper, when you applied
We
for your
applied
water.
since June. Last
year.
year, June.
Applied for what?
For the water.
Since last year, June, and up to now.
Up to now.
And as the sister
Show them the
is
paper.
telling us here, not enough persons there claiming live here. Thanks very much. Not enough persons live here for y'all to get enough for them to bring in the
Yeah.
main. What are the other concerns that you all have?
Yeah,
What
we
are
needed a
concerns?
proper road in here. These big trucks just breaking up everything. Then it get between the two Good Hope there, it have a track there, which you have a guard hut. They could make a road for we. It's gonna be easier for we for cross. Because if we're going around and coming over it, it's very hard.
Before you go on, what is the point of the guard hut there?
Well, the guard hut there, it don't get people inside. They don't care if people in there robbing you, but there is a guard hut there. No
That is
guard
for
in it in the
security
night.
this here, the private security.
Yes, from I don't know where.
But it's just
They got 2 guard huts. This last one in the night, nobody don't be there. It could be people could murder you all day. Because it is be dark, no lights.
What up in the road front of the head?
They just got guard there always.
Is that the only way into Good Hope New Scheme?
It get the Jailmar Road and it get for the same trackway that I talk about to go out.
So there are other ways in which to come in here. That's not the only way.
It get more than the back.
some street
There are
lights.
other ways, but it takes very long to get out and come into.
I'm just trying to figure out what is the purpose there. So if something happens here, is you going
That's
to
the
report there?
closest exit for we,
Yes.
So the Panther security would come in and see what is the problem that you all are having.
maybe.
Okay. Any other issues?
Yeah, I want to wrap it up with a comment.
Yeah. Any other issues? You all.
No, we wonder when guy will go really give you the water because we really need it. That's the issue in here with this road.
Road and water, and as our sister says, inadequate street lighting
Yes.
Yeah, the street
affecting.
light.
Yeah.
Lot of thief going on in the area.
So security concerns generally. Who is living in here the earliest? Which is how long ago?
2 years.
2 years now. You're back here. All right. All right.
After one, then I'll start coming.
Yeah, we following each other.
So let me ask another question. You all own the land? There's squatting happening here. What's the land situation?
We own it.
Everybody own the land. That is strange. No. I'm just asking because that might make a difference too.
So we're standing here with some hard-working, tax-paying Guyanese, ordinary Guyanese who are working hard to earn their living. And when we talk about budget 2026 being an imbalanced budget, being a budget that doesn't cater for the ordinary people, it is folks like these we are making reference to. These hard-working Guyanese have been living in this area here at Good Hope, Phase 4, for the past 2 to 2.5 years. This scheme has been in existence for 3 years now, and they don't have potable water. They don't have the service of Guyana Water Incorporated. And what is more heart-wrenching is to learn that the Guyana Fire Service comes in here and sells water for $10,000 for a black tank, for a 450-gallon black tank. $10,000. People use as much as 3 black tanks, and they have to pay $30,000 for that, and it is finished within a week and a half. It is extremely unfair. There are several children here who are of nursery age and primary age, and they're punishing to survive under this trillion-dollar economy, under this fast-growing economy we call Guyana, under this trillion-dollar budget, and we have been spending as a nation over $6 trillion within the last 5 years. This problem is not a problem that is unknown to the government. The Minister of Public Utilities and Aviation knows of this issue. The Minister of Public Infrastructure knows of this issue. This is an issue that we have been hammering to them for the past year or thereabout, and nothing seems to be happening. We are calling on the relevant authorities to stop treating people like this. Be fair in the way you're expending resources. Be fair. They have a contractor that is working at the front of this scheme that has access to GWI service, and he's using the water to construct road. He is using the water to open out the scheme, and the people who need the water for their basic necessities, as a basic necessity to do things such as washing, such as cooking, such as showering, they cannot get it. I don't know what this government is really prioritizing. If your human resource is not important, then what really are you doing in government? We have to look after our human resource. Here are people standing, begging for the service of GWI, and GWI is telling them that not sufficient amount of people is occupying the area for them to get water. Anyhow, these lands have already been allocated. So people will occupy. Bring the service to the people and let the people have the service and let them have a comfortable life. Is this putting people first? Ask yourself, is this putting people first? Guyanese deserve better. The people of Good Hope Phase 4, they deserve better. And I'm calling on Indar to make it happen. I'm calling on Irfan Ali to be balanced in your approach. And if you really want to put people first, start with Good Hope Phase 4 and provide them with potable water from GWI so that they don't have to incur an additional expense on the land that you have given them. Every time they have to spend $10,000 on a 450-gallon black tank for additional water, it's an additional cost on the land that they have paid for from the Central Housing and Planning Authority. This is inhumane treatment, this is unfair, and this ought to be rectified. I trust they will.
Pace and power, folks. Pace and power. That's the situation in the ground. Share the life for us. Smash that emoji button. We're back to work. March is over. The hard work continues. Aluta continua. This is just Good Hope, in case you're now joining us. This is just outside the national capital city of Georgia, right up on the East Coast. Down at the back. Yeah. But it's not too far. Could you imagine the hardships in the rest of this country? And that's what we're going to be doing over the next year, bringing you the valid, credible information. Wherever you're joining us from tonight, at home or abroad, smash that emoji button for us. This is the information we want people to have so they can make the right decision. You can't make a good decision with inadequate information. Pace and power. We're winding up done. That was nice for yesterday. Back to work. We got to look after the needs of our citizens. And while you were out, we chatted up with MP Finance. Those of you come back to watch the program, we chatted up with MP Ganesh Maipol and the residents there at Good Hope who are under tremendous strain, folks, to hold it together. But that's the lived experience of our Guyanese brothers and sisters, and we could only know it if we go where they are. And I'm happy we went. Tremendously happy. That's going to do it for us at this end. It's just 9 o'clock, just at the top of the hour there. Again and again, the cost of this content. It costs us something to put us together. And we say the only cost for viewing is to share the live, smash that emoji button for us, and no doubt I see over 700 comments. I'm going to sift through some of that. We're going to see you guys on our next broadcast. Let's leave it there for this evening. That's our time, good folks, and that's our broadcast. Good to see Jamal Aziz. If Jamal is here, Lachman is close by. Dolly is here as well. You see when people know your business. Wilma Grant, good to see you. I see Mahadio Prasad is here as well. Monica, Tommy, Wendy, good to see Shireen. Good to see Lester Williams on the live tonight. All you other beautiful folks. Alex Rodriguez is here too. Wendy Stevens. I see Neon Harding is here too. Lester, Monica, Audrey, Marlon Thomas, Quanamango. Good to see all of you, our favorite folks. Do us a big favor. Smash that emoji button before you go. I see hundreds of you are on Facebook. Hundreds of you are on the red app, the blue app. YouTube, packed with y'all. Facebook, packed with y'all. We're so happy that you guys are here with us as we recover from March 2026. Back to work, folks. That's our time, and that's our broadcast. Stay safe, folks. Stay safe out there. Stay safe.